Viewer discretion advised.
The Wild Nor'Western is considered by many as one of the longest and heaviest trains on the island of Sodor. Gordon usually pulls it and enjoys breaking the high-speed record of the year. It is an important train too and must always run, regardless of any situation occurred. However, whenever Gordon is ill or busy elsewhere, James or Henry would have the chance to take the express for him, giving Gordon enough time to rest. Early one morning, Gordon was feeling rather stuffed up, and he was growing a little sick too. Just as I suspected, said the driver. Probably the bad coal from yesterday. It's clogging up your tubes something awful. Now if only we should have picked up some fresh coal back at the coaling depot. Whew. Thank goodness there wasn't any gremlins in there, said the fireman. Don't remind me, groaned Gordon. Just then Henry chuffed in. Morning, Gordon. Feeling a little stuffed up today? You could say that, said Gordon. I say. I have an idea, smiled Henry. Why not have a good sneeze, Gordon? I mean, that might clear away the cinders and ashes. He could remember years ago when he taught some boys a lesson for tossing stones at him. All Gordon could say was, "Certainly not! The Fat Controller would never approve. Besides, he didn't seem to like your sneeze as far as I could remember. I just need to go to the works to have the old tubes cleaned. Now run along, my dear engine." All right, I'm going. Sheesh. Soon enough, Gordon was ready to move when Edward arrived. I don't know, Gordon. Just what are we going to do with you, eh? At Knapford, the station master was making a phone call. What can you substitute for Gordon's Express? He asked. Well, there's the high-speed train that was purchased the other day. It's only got one power car working, but it's sure to keep up with the Fat Controller's timing. As soon as the arrangements by the Fat Controller was made, Pip and Emma were delighted to stand in for Gordon. Pip's cooling system was faulty, making her hot and bothered, but Emma didn't mind that. They felt honored to work on the Northwestern Railway. Meanwhile, James, following a little later with a stopping train, was surprised when the signalman walked up to the platform. That high-speed diesel's failed, he said. I want you to go gently until you reach it, and then push it to the next loop, and then go in front to pull it home. Oh boy, said James. Anyhow, what about the express passengers? Surely they wouldn't want to make a few extra stops? I'm sorry, James. Better that way than your people missing their stations. Off you go. Chop, chop. A little while, James found Pip and Emma about 2 miles in front.
I'm sorry I couldn't help, but we are special lightweight coaches.
Well, that's a coincidence, said James, who was already feeling puffed. It's a good thing that I came to your rescue. Otherwise, what might the express come to? Soon enough, James found it easier than he expected. Once the train was moving, the coaches followed smoothly. As for the passengers, if they wondered about the extra stops, they weren't complaining. They at least understood about Pip and Emma's situation. At Knapford, the Fat Controller met the strange train. "I'm sorry we're late, sir," said James. "I didn't mean to be late with my passenger train." But to his surprise, the Fat Controller was smiling. "Now, James, it wasn't your fault. I am quite pleased with you. You have saved an awkward situation. Now then, I want you to make Pip and Emma feel welcome in the shed while I arrange their journey back home." Yes, sir. Aye, aye, sir." But first it was now Pip and Emma's turn to be sent to the works to be mended. And, although I wouldn't say no more, or I'll spoil the next story. When we last left the island of Sodor, Gordon was feeling under the weather and had to be sent to the works to have his engine looked at. So naturally, Pip and Emma were to substitute for his express trains for a while. That is, until they were facing themselves with difficulties of their own. With no choice given, our old friend James arrived on the scene and decided to set things straight once more. Back at the sheds, the other engines were quiet at first, but they soon found the diesels friendly, and before long they were interacting and laughing together like old pals. James, of course, was glad that Gordon was away. He might, he thought, so easily have said something to upset him. Gordon was glad to come home next day. The Fat Controller was waiting for him at Knapford Station. "It's good to have you back, Gordon. It turns out that Pip's cooling system has failed, and I want you to take her passengers home." "I certainly will, sir. Right away," promised Gordon. As soon as the big blue engine backed up onto the train, the driver said, "Right then, today, Gordon, my lad, you can have the run of your life." And he did so too, and was having a wonderful day. At last, peering from the window, the driver saw Gordon's hill. "Oh no, not again." But his driver knew what to do. "Find the biggest piece of coal you can," he said to the fireman. "Once we have enough lumps, Gordon's speed will be given a big boost. Now let's hurry along, or the big hill will beat us." So with no time wasted, the fireman shoveled for dear life. Slowly but surely, Gordon found himself going faster than he had ever gone before. At last, the fireman found the biggest piece of coal that he had ever seen. "Well, if spinach could be good for that sailor man," he said, "then this will do the trick." Thundering through the big hill, Gordon now felt that the slope was easier to climb. Cautiously, he opened one eye, and then he opened the other. "Oh yes, I've done it!" he smiled. "Express coming through!" At last, Gordon arrived safely at his final destination just as Thomas chuffed in. "Well, it's about time you showed up," said Gordon. "Oh, I cannot chat right now. I've got a train to run. Toodaloo!" And he chuffed importantly away. "Bubbling boilers!" chuckled Thomas to the coaches. "Have you seen anything like this?" Both Annie and Clarabelle agreed that they never had. The next day, when Gordon came to see Pip and Emma, he decided naturally to apologize. "Afternoon, Pip. Emma, I hear tell that you did a fine job with my passenger train yesterday."
You could say that.
"Well, I came here just to say that I'm sorry that I was doubtful of the concept of high-speed trains, because at least I now know that the best way to keep the passenger trains running smoothly is to not only let others take to the occasion, but also to share the express trains with others until the day's work is over." As soon as the last sentence was spoken, Pip and Emma could only grin. From this point forward, the express trains have been sailing rather smoothly, not only thanks to Gordon's approval, but also thanks to Pip and Emma whenever he's away. All three engines are now great friends, and they're quite unanimous on the subject of taking turns.